Hey y'all, hi, I'm back to do another Terry Barber inspired look. This time I'm gonna let myself go a little more, maybe a little less wearable, a little more editorial, and I'm also back in another totally out of control top, which is also from YesStyle. Again, they asked if I wanted to review anything on camera, and I was like, let's have some textured tops to add some visual interest to my videos. This one's way outside of my usual comfort zone because it's pink, but I'm going to use it as a touch point for the look. So it's kind of like full face of color cosmetics inspired by both Terry Barber and this top. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you clicked on this video. I'm Hannah and I love beautiful things and I love makeup and I really love using what I have. So I built this Terry Barber inspired palette out of single eyeshadows that I already owned, and I've been working with it a bunch and I'm gonna continue working with it today. So if content that's beauty content, but that's not always about new, sounds good to you, I hope you'll subscribe because I do both. I work with what I have and I also talk about new releases. I like to keep a balance. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. I haven't primed my eyes yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and prime them while I tell you what I'm thinking, although I'm thinking that I don't have much of a plan. I feel like the thing that I'm thinking about, it could go in a number of different directions. I also have some complexion makeup on. I just wanted to let you know that. I've concealed some blemishes, not very much. I've been testing the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter and also testing the Chanel Le Beige fluid, like highlighting fluid. I've been testing them for ages and really struggling to kind of put my thoughts together because even though they're not the same, they're pretty similar and I'm finding them to be almost interchangeable. So I've been putting them to more unusual tests to try to really suss out the difference. And one of the things I've been doing is kind of using the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter like as a concealer, like as a foundation, because it has more coverage, it has more pigment in it than the one from Chanel. So I have that all over my face underneath some spot concealing and a little bit of, concealing just around like underneath my eyes with an actual concealer. So that's what's going on the rest of my face. And I'm gonna be building the look on top of it. Pink, pink, pink is what I'm thinking. But I do wanna use what's in here. And I didn't really pull like a bubblegum pink. I wanted to use my pre-built palette. I didn't want to like go into my singles and try to find something that matched this sweater. And I'm not even sure I have anything because I'm not really a pink person. I want to do the bacon inspired, raw meat inspired, pink, like sunburn inspired, pink flesh inspired kind of eye look that I've seen a number of on Terry Barber's Instagram page. But I want to do it using what I have here. And I feel like these are gonna be the best candidates, right? So this is sort of like a shimmery, definitely like a ruddy looking shimmer. And this is a little bit more of a straight shimmery cranberry. And then I've got these two ColourPop shadows, one of which is a little bit more orangey and one of which is a little bit more coral. So I'm gonna work with these to buff out a sort of flushed, pretty monochromatic. I'm not going to try to do too much with dimension, kind of like a flushed, weird look all over my eyes. But am I going to use all four of those? I feel like I just swatched the four of them because they were like the four likely candidates. But the thing about working with this palette and the thing about thinking about Terry Barber's Instagram project as inspiration, the thing is that it's kind of led me away from using a bunch of different colors all the time and building in a bunch of dimension and towards more monochromatic looks. Although I did recently read in one of the captions on one of his pictures that one of the things that makeup artists are always doing is using like 10 different products and making you think that it's just one. So I have a feeling that a lot of the looks that look like one shadow looks on his Instagram page are actually just monochromatic looks, but they're not just one shadow. It's like a bunch of different shadows. So maybe I will like lean into layering these a bit, but maybe not all four of them, and trying to kind of make it look like one. That is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna start with a matte. I'm gonna start with this more corally matte. I told you I didn't have a plan. I wasn't lying. Meteorite. I'm gonna start with meteorite. I'm gonna put that all over it, and then I'm gonna kind of blend in some of this, which is ACD1. So there's Colourpop Meteorite, and Adept Cosmetics ACD1 is this square one. Starting with meteorite, which is really gonna be the base of the look. Gosh, I've been reaching for this brush so much lately. It's the Rephr 01, and I was so into the 02 and 03 when they like first sent me these brushes quite a while ago at this point, that I only ever talk about them and I kind of only ever use them. And recently the 01 has like emerged as a star, so that's exciting. I think it's because I've been working with mattes again, and I haven't really worked with mattes in a long time. And I feel like with shimmers, just packing them on with my fingers and then blending out the edges with those more targeted brushes, that's mostly what I do. But with mattes, I want something a little bit fluffier so that I can kind of sweep and buff and diffuse that edge a little bit more kind of gently. And that's where this is coming in really handy. There's a base of meteorite. I just feel like some ColourPop shadows are so good. Like the pigment is really there, but it's kind of this sticky, thin pigment. Like it's not fluffing all over the place or like creamy all over the place. It's just sticking where I put it and then buffing out pretty easily because it feels quite fine. Yeah, I've always found them really, really easy to work with. So this is telling me a couple of things. First, that it's definitely not gonna be like a match for this pink sweater at all. I feel like what's happening is it's like going to be sort of a shades of meat and bubblegum. It's like a bacon and bubblegum kind of situation with the top, I mean, like the overall look and the way that they're gonna work together, because we're definitely moving into some reddy and orangey and ruddy things, because I didn't include this kind of bubblegum pink in the palette, even though I know that Terry Barber sometimes does work with these. When we get to the lips, maybe we'll be able to kind of tie it together. So it's telling me that, and also there was something else. Maybe that's all that it was telling me, but there was something else that I was thinking about when I was doing this, which is that in order to really make it feel like one color, one product, I'm going to have to really layer the shimmer all the way over everything that I've already put down, and then kind of go back into the matte and kind of blend back and forth and almost like mix it into one thing on my lids. Because I think that if I start applying this Adept shimmer on top of this, it's a different color, so it'll be clearly two-tone unless I really blend them together physically on the eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that a try and we'll see where we end up. Actually, they might blend together more easily than I expected. I've still got this dry patch on my eye that's really showing up with this shimmer, like the way that it's catching that dry patch. It's been like 2 weeks. It's just taking some time to heal. And, you know, I'm not like trying to conceal it or trying to make it so that it doesn't show up. It's kind of just there. But those two shades really did blend effortlessly together. It really does look like just one shadow on the lid, but I know that some of the dimension that I'm getting, not to mention the actual undertone that has emerged, that's because they're blended together. So yeah, it's nice, it's working. The real star of the show is this Adept shadow though. It's really, I really love the shade, ACD1. And the reflect, there's something about the kind of goldish reflect on this kind of like bloody cranberry shade it's making it feel pretty unique and kind of rich to me. Let's stick at that. I feel like this is really, I'm really pleased with how it's blended out, and I kind of took it a little bit further than I was expecting. And I am going to put on a pretty strong cheek today to try to kind of match it, you know what I mean? And make it feel kind of even more statement, even more intentional, you know, because maybe be even weirder with that, and maybe even a really strong lip too, or we're just like going for it, we're doing the most. But I think I do want to put a little bit of liner. I got a couple of pieces of PR from Jillian Dempsey, which was like so exciting because this is one of those cool girl makeup artist, sort of like dewy lid makeup brands that I've always wanted to try and just never gotten around to purchasing something. She sent me one of the lid Tints, which is like the iconic Jillian Dempsey product, but I don't have that over here because I'm not going to put it on top of this. I think you can do that with them, but I don't want this look to get super dewy and emulsified and start creasing. That's just not what I want exactly for me today, although that would also be very Terry Barber. But I also have this cream blush, which is looking really neutral compared to the pink top and the eye right now, holding it up. I was thinking I might use it, but actually I feel like it's too neutral. I'm gonna go in probably just with eyeshadows for the blush. I also have this kohl eyeliner, and I'm gonna use this just in my waterline and tightline a little bit to define this look just a little bit and help it kind of transition into the mascara on my eye so it's not just too harsh like color mascara. But it's just very subtle. I'm not gonna blend it out or anything. I'm just kind of darkening my waterline. It feels really nice though, this pencil. It feels like one of those sort of soft charcoal things that you can blend out. Yeah, it's like, it's not dry. It's not creamy, but it's got this like very blendable, softening quality. That's very nice. I haven't tried this. I haven't like played around with it, but this is making me excited to play around with it in other capacities. Okay, I'm going to add the mascara, but unlike the first time that I did a Terry Barber inspired look on camera, I did a very simple eye look like this, and then I tried to make my lashes as like gunky and intense and spidery as I could. But this time I'm gonna go in with this mascara that I've been using lately that I surprised myself by liking. It's the Rimmel London Lash Accelerator. So the pitch is that it's like, it helps grow your lashes, it's good for your lashes. And I don't know if that's true, but it is not a very gunky, uber buildable mascara, but it's also not incredibly thin. Like I feel like in my mascara testing life, it's been very opposing. Sorry, there was a noise outside. I was worried it was just gonna keep going on and on, but I think it was just the garbage truck. I just feel like I've often come across mascaras that are perfect for me, like really, really gunky, spidery, sticky, icky, love it so much. And then I've come across these mascaras where it feels like it's just paint. Like you're just putting a layer of watery black paint on your lashes and just changing their color and not actually adding any volume or dimension. This is kind of in the middle. Like it is buildable and it doesn't feel like it's just paint. It does have some body, but it's not creating those like super spidery, fibery, super intense, almost faux lashes, like faux lash extension lashes. It's giving like a nice, slightly wispy look, and I've been kind of liking it with these more simple eye looks. A lot of Terry Barber's looks don't even have mascara, like it'll just be about the color. But for me, I feel like to make it wearable, I have to add some mascara, but by adding this, it's wispier, so it kind of retains the look. It kind of puts forward the color and has the lashes as just like a finishing touch. And again, I don't usually do that. I usually have the lashes as like this major feature. And so it's a little bit different, but I'm making friends with it. I like the shape of the brush. It gives me a lot of control. It's a more delicate application of mascara, basically, but I feel like something about the shape of the brush in combination with the formula, it still allows me to get my lashes to be a little fluffier. And so it's delicate, but also fluffy, and I like that. So I'm going to go in the same order. I'm going to start with Meteorite, and I think I'm gonna use this fluffy, it's the Anastasia A23. I love this brush. I end up using it for all sorts of things. And it's also small, so I feel like I'll be able to go slower because this is an eyeshadow, you know, it's pretty pigmented compared to a lot of blushes, and I'm tapping a lot of it off the brush because I don't want to end up with like a huge spot. We'll see though, that might happen anyway. No, it's going okay. It's blending okay. So I think what I'm gonna do is try to put like a spot. I'm gonna have like a little fleshy spot on each cheek and kind of blend from there and make it look a little more natural from that spot. And then I'll come back with the other shadow and deepen up that spot with it. Yeah, it's definitely starting to look a little bit like, are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? And that's what I wanted. All right, I'm gonna blend into the eye look a little bit. And you know, I haven't observed like a bunch of blush draping from Terry Barber or something. Again, this isn't like a recreation. I'm not trying to make myself look exactly like one of the pictures I've seen. I'm working with the makeup that I've chosen with him as the inspiration, and I'm working with principles that he's inspired in me to kind of go in my own direction. That's the idea. I'm softening the edges of this by going back in with this brush that I use for base, but it's pretty much clean. Like it doesn't really have product on it. Just like pushing the edges into my skin so that it looks more blended. I'm even gonna go in with this, which is my Aaron's Faces concealer brush. And I'm gonna reconceal a little bit of what went on here. A lot of times I see people saying, if your blush gets out of control, then you can go back in with your other brushes, with your base, and clean up the edges and get it back under control, as if it's this like disaster management thing. And I actually find that when my blush spreads further than I kind of wanted it to, and then I go back in and soften the edges, that's when I get the most seamless blend, the most natural feeling flush, especially with a cream. So that's all just Meteorite from Colourpop. I'm gonna dip into ACD1 just the tiniest bit and add just a tiny bit just to that little tippy spot, because that is a bit darker than I would usually go with a blush, you know what I mean? But I wanted to add in some of that same dimension that I had on the eyes. It's also got some shine in it. Wow, that got a lot more intense than I expected it to get. I had just gotten it all under control. And now this. Oh, but I'm glad that I added it because it's definitely, it's definitely more the shade that I was going for, because it matches the eyes better now. So I'm glad that I did that. And that shine is really nice. So I'm not sure if I want to do the next thing that I was going to do. Oh, and I totally didn't use the Jillian Dempsey. I'll use it in a video soon. I'll use this coming up, but I'm going to swatch it. Oh, it feels kind of, wow. I think I'm actually really going to like this. It smells good, and it's got that nice lipsticky quality that I love. Ooh, I'm excited. Maybe I'll film another Get Ready With Me tomorrow. So here is what I've been thinking that I might do, and I think I am gonna do it just because I'm just doing it, okay? The Fenty Diamond Balm. I used this recently in a video where my Patreon patrons picked my makeup. One of you asked me to use this. And I used it with this little fluffy brush, which I think is supposed to be kind of Rephr's answer to the Anastasia, the A23. And I think that when it like loosens up and fluffs up, it will be more like, like it's basically the same brush. It's just that mine, I haven't used it all that much, and I've always used it like on its side like this, so it's kind of stayed almond shaped. Using this little targeted brush and not digging in with my fingers and not trying to get like a creamy layer, but just brushing it on, I coated my cheeks on top of a pretty bright orange blush in that video with this, and it gave such a glossy, wet look, such a beautiful dispersion. So I think I'm gonna do it all over the cheek and all over my eyes as well to try to get them to have that super wet look. Using glitter products like this to get that wet look is not what Terry Barber does. I think it's often like just an oil, an actual oil or a gloss, but I don't want to, again, emulsify the powder on my eyes. I want it to stay like this all day today. So I'm gonna use a different technique to get a similar impression, a similar look. Look how glossy that looks. It's bananas. So I'm brushing it all over my lids, all the way up to the brow and all the way down. And then I'm covering this area as well and connecting it to my cheek. So it's like a C shape all over the lid and then down into the cheek, but I'm not gonna bring it in to the nose. I'm trying to leave this part blank today. It's interesting with this, with the addition of this, I think what's happening is the kind of clearish, silverish glitters are refracting the color of the shadow and kind of lightening it in some places, like kind of making it more pink. And I feel like it's making the look more cohesive with the sweater, even though I clearly haven't put bubblegum pink makeup on my eyes. It's almost like it's bringing it together better, just because of the slight iridescence now that's there. I'm gonna go ahead and pop my mole back on. I'm actually gonna use the Jillian Dempsey and see how it performs at that. Great. This is actually a beautiful product for little moles and freckles. Sadie's trying to push open the pocket doors. Hold on. What? Sadie told me she wants a sweater like this for her birthday. Maybe I'll just give her this one. Okay, so I feel like we've done what we came to do from here up. And the question of the hour is kind of what are we gonna do with lips? Because here's what I did. I don't have very much pink makeup. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not what I usually use. And I will often end up giving away pink stuff that comes my way in PR. I do have NARS Sheop, which would work. It would be a whole thing. But I feel like if I put this on straight, it will really dominate the look. And it's so matte and it's like it sucks the light in, you know? I want it to work kind of with rather than being like a stamp on my face. So I brought the Flower Beauty Chill Out CBD Lip Glaze, which is one of the only pink things I've kept that's ever come in PR. I really like the quality of this and I've kind of been enjoying the slightly cool toned pink. So maybe if I mix the two of those, let's see how that looks. But then I also brought my own lipstick, Grungy Twiggy, over here, which is like a mix-in to make things more white-based and a little bit grungier. So if the two of these together are still feeling like too fuchsia, maybe we can mix a little bit. Actually, I'm just gonna mix them all together. I don't want to do it like maybe. I want to see what they look like. I'm gonna mix them on the back of my hand. Actually mixing grungy, well, no, it's kind of working. So the darker one is just Sheop, or it's actually called Scap. I always pronounce it wrong. NARS Scap. And then mixed with Grungy Twiggy, it is getting closer to the color of my sweater. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to put on this mix that I have on the back of my hand, but I'm gonna mix more Grungy Twiggy in. I want it to be a little bit less intensely pink. I was worried it was kind of getting purple, but I think it's actually working. And what I'll do is I'll put this on and then I'll layer the lip gloss on top of it. And I bet that'll be like perfect for this look. So we're definitely moving into like a cool tone territory. It's interesting. It's like a definitely warm toned, orangey, again, like that bacon, like that bacon meat color on the eyes and cheeks. And this is more of an almost lavender, cool toned cream lip that's moving us. It's almost like more in the direction of lavender even than the sweater. So I'm actually gonna blot it down and put on a pretty thick application of the gloss because I feel like the gloss is actually more like the sweater and the eyes. Yeah. Yeah, that definitely did it. The gloss itself is a bit sheer, you know, like if I had just put that on my lips by itself, we wouldn't have this full pigment, this full color pigment look on the lips. It would look semi-sheer. So I'm glad that I layered it over the other ones, but the color that we really have is basically the color of the gloss, and it's just got a little more body, a little more beef, because I layered it over the mix of those two lipsticks. Okay, that is it. That's the finished look. I really enjoyed this and I really like it. I love this super glossy cheek kind of bleeding into the eye. And I can't tell, maybe it's because of the angle of all of the lights, but I can't tell if the eye has been made quite as glossy as the cheek by the overlay of the Fenty product. I think probably as I move about my day and kind of like look, you know, like when I go to wash my hands, like look in the mirror in the bathroom, I'll be able to tell. I think that under these lights, a cheek really catches the light and gleams, and it's harder to show the way that the eye might give that same effect in different lighting. But, you know, it is all one, like it's one application. It's all sort of one thing going from the inner corner all the way out to the cheek. And I really like that. And I like how much it's gleaming. Love this very different lip look for myself. And again, I don't know if this is actually something like this combination of lip and eye and this glossy cheek. I don't know if this is something that Terry Barber might actually end up doing. That's not what I'm claiming, and it's like not the point of it. The point is just that this is something that I wouldn't have sat down and done on my own a couple of weeks ago before I built this custom palette inspired by this makeup artist, and before I like decided to just sort of study what he writes about his Instagram project and the things that he decides to do, and to let those ideas percolate and kind of bleed into what I do. Like this is the result of that process, and that's what I'm considering to be the process of inspiration. Let me know what you think, and let me know who you're inspired by, because this has actually been so much longer lasting and kind of more profound and richer of a process, of a project than I expected it to be. I just sat down and made this little palette one day because I was inspired, and I was like, I wonder what'll happen if I start doing this. And I've continued to go back and back to Terry Barber's Instagram and look and read and go back into the history and think about it and try different things. And I've been thinking about this idea, like the difference between imitation and inspiration. Imitation just being like, I'm gonna try to make it look exactly like that person did it. And inspiration being like, I'm gonna really let this person's philosophy get in amongst me and see what it does there, you know? So if there are any other makeup artists out there that you think are doing something a little bit off the beaten path, like not just like a straight up glam, but something that has a little bit more grunge, a little bit more grippiness, and you know, just a little bit more, like I love this cross between editorial and wearable, which is something I've been talking about since the beginning of my channel. I even think that at some point I was gonna start a series called Wearable Editorial, and then I never really followed through, but that's kind of what this is. That's kind of what I've continued to do, you know? So if you know of any other makeup artists out there who are doing what you would consider like wearable editorial, and who you think I might enjoy following in the footsteps of in this way, let me know. So I'll be checking your comments for that. Thanks again for watching. I hope that this was fun for you. And I hope, of course, that you're remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.